Hello, how you guys doing? What's going on? We are here to talk about this virus. I'm hearing it's breaking out in Georgia. I'm hearing over 30 to 40 people is getting it and it is spreading. This is something that everybody needs to be concerned about. People are also saying you guys have to continue to wear that mask. I don't even know if the mask is going to help, because this virus is worse than ever. It's human to human. It is. Also, it can be passed down to rodents, and if rodents around you and they're Putin and stuff like that, I'm assuming it can get on you or in you or the smell. But we're going to figure out everything that's going on, and I want to give you guys the update. I just want to say thank you all for liking and sharing to this YouTube channel, Deep Newer News. And let's see what's going on because as you guys see here, this is a person, it says the one who has been confirmed 5 new cases. So look at all those bumps. I mean, it really get dangerous out here. So let's go here in the news coverage.
Virus with a death rate higher than COVID spread on a cruise ship in the Atlantic. So the question now everyone is asking is, should we be worried? Well, here's what happened. The MV Hondius, a Dutch expedition ship that left Argentina weeks ago, is at the center of a confirmed Hantavirus outbreak that has killed 3 people and left nearly 150 passengers isolated in their cabins. Right now, the ship is about 600 nautical miles from Spain's Canary Islands, but when it gets there, it may not be able to dock. Officials in Tenerife say the ship must stay offshore, and port workers say they haven't even been told what safety measures are in place. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Before Hantavirus was even suspected, nearly 30 passengers from at least 12 countries, including 6 Americans, left the ship at an early port stop with no contact tracing. Global health officials are now scrambling to find them all. Those Americans are scattered across Arizona, Virginia, Georgia, Texas, and California. That's what we know so far. So no Americans are reporting symptoms currently, but the CDC is working with the WHO and the State Department to monitor every single one of them. This specific strain at the center of this outbreak is called the Andes virus. It's a form of hantavirus that, unlike most strains, can spread between people through close contact. That's part of why the WHO is paying such close attention and why passengers could potentially be forced to remain at sea for up to 2 months as they wait out the quarantine period. The incubation period for this virus can potentially take up to 8 weeks. But a major caveat here, this disease is difficult to spread on a large scale according to infectious disease experts. They say that person-to-person transmission can only happen through prolonged close contact, like living with someone. For those 150 people still on the ship, the question of when they get to go home is still very much unanswered. Dr. John LaPook is here right now, our very own CBS News doctor. So how concerned should people be?
Well, the WHO said today that the risk to the general public is low. Now, I know that's triggering for some people, right? Because they're thinking, oh my gosh, is this COVID? Is this, do we have to worry about a pandemic? This is totally different than COVID. And the reason is that the virus that causes it is something that we've known for 30 years. The virus that caused COVID was a brand new virus, SARS-CoV-2. We didn't know anything about it. Now, you have to be humble here because you always have to put an asterisk and say things could change. We're at the beginning of this. There are relatively few number of people who were exposed. What's going to happen in the next incubation period, which could be about 6 weeks? Are people going to pop up?
All right, so this is what I'm thinking, and I have more videos to share with you because new reports are coming up. But it's like termites. People are social. We socialize. We're always up under each other. And when you put a poison dealing with termites, it kills all of them because termites are social and they're going to go back into their people, and it's going to spread, and that's how they all die. This is the same thing. If those individuals have it in America and they are in different states and they're not speaking out, why are they not speaking out and say, hey, you guys, I was on the boat. I need treatment. They're not speaking out because most likely they got it. They're ashamed and they got it. And they've been around family and friends. It spreads to them, those family and friends. Look how often in America, it's a whole culture. Everybody's sleeping with everybody. Everybody is in close contact with everybody, so it is going to spread. Think about the clubs. You guys are up under each other in the club, you're sweating, you guys love going to the club. Think about the concerts. You guys love to be up under each other at the concerts. I mean, hey, so are people going to stop going to these concerts and stop being up under each other in big crowds? You go to churches, it's big crowd. Most likely not. Let's continue on.
This morning, at least 6 people in the U.S. and 24 from other countries are being monitored for signs of hantavirus after departing the MV Hondius cruise ship a few weeks ago. Now, health officials say so far, those Americans do not report any symptoms.
It's very much, we hope, under control.
For the first time Thursday, President Trump addressed the response to the deadly hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship with more than a dozen Americans on board.
There's a lot of great people studying it. It should be fine. We hope.
Congresswoman Janelle Bynum shared that one of the passengers is an Oregon doctor who has been providing medical support to others on board. In a letter to the State Department and CDC, she wrote, "The 17 Americans on board, including my constituent, are being abandoned by their government. They have no guidance and no support to ensure their safe return home." This all comes as global health officials are scrambling to track down passengers who departed the MV Hondius weeks ago. The cruise operator says nearly 30 passengers from at least 12 countries, including 6 Americans, left the ship during one of its first port stops in St. Helena before the hantavirus was suspected. State authorities say one passenger is now home in Arizona, another in Virginia, 2 in Georgia, 2 in Texas, and an unknown number are back in California. Health officials say none of them are showing any symptoms of hantavirus. In Turkey, Ruhi Jeanette was one of the passengers who disembarked in St. Helena, but has stayed in contact with people still on board.
They're not, in my view, are not scared of the virus itself, but they're just confused about the following days.
The cruise ship is set to arrive at the Canary Islands this weekend, but officials there say the cruise liner cannot dock and must remain offshore when it arrives. It's unclear whether the nearly 150 passengers will be forced to remain at sea for up to 2 months as they wait out the quarantine period. And another development this morning, Spanish officials confirming that the U.S. sent a plane with CDC staff to pick up the American passengers stuck on board. The World Health Organization says no one on board is currently symptomatic. So some good news there, guys. This morning, at least 6 people in the U.S.
Hantavirus, whatever it's called. Let's talk about it, because I think it's important to focus on facts, not fear, not conspiracy theorists, not whatever.
We are now learning this morning more details on how that hantavirus outbreak initially began on that cruise ship. It is being reported by ABC that it initially started, they believe, with a Dutch couple in one of the excursions that obviously cruise line.
Baby, let me tell y'all something. I don't know about y'all, but ever since they told us about this Hantavirus cruise ship that was stranded out at sea, child, my mind has been thinking all kinds of shit. Now, again, this is the reason why y'all can't tell me nothing, because once I find out something, baby, I start thinking all kinds of shit. Now, this is what I come up with. Now, hear me out. Now, we just learned about this hantavirus, a virus that we had never even heard of before. Just like the coronavirus. We had never even heard of the coronavirus until it actually happened, right? So we have never heard of this hantavirus up until now. Now, me just finding out that 23 people out of the 149 passengers that were stuck on that cruise ship were Americans. And out of those 23 Americans, 2 of those people were from Texas. Now, they have already released 23 of those people a week ago from that cruise ship, not even knowing that if this virus was spreadable, if this virus could be spread from person to person. They didn't even know that until now. But hell, they didn't already release 23 of those people off that cruise ship. So it's kind of like too fucking late to kind of warn us now. But anyways, let's just say, now they said that this hantavirus came from rodent droplets, right? Rats and mice. We've all experienced rats and mice at some point in our life, right? Now, as you driving to work, everybody always see old abandoned buildings and old abandoned homes that had never been torn down, that have been sitting up for years. And we all know a lot of those buildings are infested with rodents, right? Who's to say that we hadn't been breathing in this shit? Who's to say that? Who's to say that we have not been breathing in this hantavirus, and that is the cause of a lot of people that are going to the hospital and going to the doctor because they don't know why they're sick, and a lot of tests are being ran on these people. And
The hantavirus kills you. So within 2 months, you should be dead. You should see a lot of more people dropping. So I'm just going through here.
There is a virus making international headlines right now, and I'm here to break it down with facts, okay? No panic, no speculation, just the truth. It's called Hantavirus, and there's an active outbreak on a cruise ship called the MV Hondius in the Atlantic Ocean right now, as I'm recording this. And here's what we know. The ship left Argentina on April the 1st, okay, carrying about 150 passengers and a crew from 23 different countries, including 17 Americans. 3 people so far have died, a Dutch couple and a German national. As of today, there are at least 8 confirmed or suspected cases on board. Now, let me teach you something. Hantavirus is nothing new. It's typically spread through contact with infected rodents, specifically their urine, feces, and saliva. Okay, it's been around a while, and that's how most people get it. But this particular outbreak involves a specific strain called the Andes virus that's found primarily in South America. And here's what makes it different. The Andes strain is the only known hantavirus that can spread from human to human, but that transmission is rare and requires close contact. The World Health Organization believes the first passengers, which was a Dutch couple, likely contracted it during a bird watching trip through Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay before they boarded that ship. Now, here's something to think about. That ship has been stranded. Countries have been slamming their ports shut on sick and healthy people alike. The Canary Islands.
Now, where's the Christians that can heal? Right? We need some Jesus folks that get on that boat and that can heal. Let's go.
Part of Spain initially refused to let the vessel dock, but the World Health Organization had to step in and remind Spain that they had a moral and legal obligation to help, including their own citizens on board. When sick people become political football, somebody needs to step in and say something, right? Well, here's the good news. The WHO says that the global risk is low. This is not COVID, people. It does not spread through casual contact. Spain's health minister has confirmed that the ship is now heading to Tenerife, where all passengers will be screened. Anyone without symptoms will be sent home. Anyone showing symptoms will be isolated, okay? Evacuation begins May the 11th, but here is what I need you to remember. Several passengers had already disembarked and gone home to their countries before this outbreak was identified. Canada, Singapore, Switzerland, and yes, the United States. Contact tracing is happening right now across the globe. So here's your bottom line. If you or someone you know was on the MV Hondius since April the 1st, contact your doctor immediately. The symptoms include fever, headache, stomach pain, and a really, really fast progression to severe respiratory distress. Incubation.
I don't know what happened.
How are people being evacuated from the virus-hit cruise ship? What are the symptoms, and what does spreading via close contact even mean? These are just some of the questions you've been asking us about the MV Hondius cruise ship, which has been hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak, and the answers. Hantavirus usually spreads from rodents, but the strain that's been confirmed in 2 passengers, called Andes, can be passed between humans through very close contact. Health officials say that's things like sitting next to someone on a flight for a long time, not just passing them in the airport or in the shops. Or it could be things like sharing a bedroom or a cabin, like on the cruise ship, or providing medical care. The Andes strain symptoms are similar to the flu, like fever and muscle aches. People can also develop severe breathing difficulties or kidney failure. Symptoms usually appear between 2 to 4 weeks after being exposed to the virus, but can occur more than a month later. There's no specific treatment, but early medical support in hospital can improve survival. So how are the passengers getting home? 3 passengers have died, and others have been evacuated to countries for medical treatment. The plan is for the rest of the people on board who have been isolating to fly to their home countries once the ship docks in the Canary Islands. For UK passengers, the UK Health Security Agency says they'll be flown home on a charter flight as long as they have no symptoms. They'll then be asked to self-isolate in the UK for 45 days, most likely at home, but this will depend on individual circumstances like who they live with. 2 British people who were on the ship but left in April and have been potentially exposed to the virus but don't have symptoms are already self-isolating in the UK. The health agency is also contact tracing anyone who may have had contact with the ship or anyone on board to make sure the disease isn't spreading. So how worried should we be? The World Health Organization has said the risk of infections globally remains low because this is not a disease like COVID or flu that spreads easily. The UK Health Security Agency says there is no cause for concern for people not associated with the outbreak and that they are working very closely with those who are sick. How are people being evacuated from the virus-hit cruise ship? What are the symptoms?